Okay, so apparently now with lives, if you're playing music, it just cuts you off. I guess, copyright. Not that we're trying to infringe upon any copyright. But anyway, so what I was saying is that I'm just so thankful and grateful to be in my Jeep, which is my dream car. I've been wanting this car for a really long time. Not that I didn't want the Mercedes. The Mercedes actually was on my dream board many years ago. And, I visualized that Mercedes and I got it. So I was very thankful and grateful for it, but it no longer served me. It was old, it had a lot of issues, and it was going to cost more to bring it up to speed than what it was, really worth. So I'm thankful and grateful now that I am in my Jeep. And if you know me personally, you know that I've been talking about this Jeep for a really long time. I've been wanting a Jeep for a really long time. It was on my goal board. It was written in affirmations on my walls all summer. I was very obsessed with becoming a director in my company and getting a Jeep. I accomplished both of those things, so now I have new goals. I'm thankful and grateful. But when I got in the car, that's what I was feeling. I was feeling that emotion of thankfulness and gratefulness, and knowing that today is, what is today? Is it the 30th? So we're coming up on this new year, and it's just giving me a vision for what my life is going to be in 2021 and the vision that I'm creating for my life for 2021. Going to Hawaii today. I got assigned a trip to Hawaii. Normally when I go to Hawaii, I'm only there for like 24 hours. However, this trip, I will be there for over 50 hours. I will be there for New Year's Eve, and I will be there for New Year's Day. And for me, it's like, this is the way to start my year. Because if you follow me on Instagram, I'm always posting all these different exotic locations and places where I visualize myself being for 2021 with my squad, with my crew, with my ride or dies, with my business partners. I am visualizing and creating a lifestyle that I would like to live with my friends. And so starting my year off in such a beautiful place like Hawaii for an extended period of time, longer than I'm accustomed to me is a sign. It is a message. It is letting me know that I am in alignment with my goals. And so, I just felt really emotional this morning. And as I was planning to go to the grocery store just to go get cat food and, a few items that I need at the house, my spirit was like, oh no, we need to go to the beach. Because the beach is my happy place. Even though that's where I'm going to be for the next few days, I need to go to my beach here in LA. I have a that I started going to when I was going through breast cancer treatment. And so I am on my way to that beach, and I'll just go to the grocery store, Trader Joe's over there. But I had to be obedient to what my spirit was telling me. And I need to go and spend some time in ground. I don't know if you guys are familiar with grounding, but I need to go and ground at my happy place, at the beach, where I set so many goals while I was going through breast cancer. And at that time, my thought was just, if I could get through this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to live like this. I'm going to go these places. I'm going to do these things. And I need to go stand in that spot where I stood 6 years ago, so that I can just, I don't know, I'm just feeling like, I made it. You know what I'm saying? I'll be 6 years cancer free come January 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's 6 years cancer free. I'm thankful and grateful like a grown-ass woman, and I got to go stand in my happy space because I'm feeling like that's what I need to do. So that's what I'm about to do. It came to me too this morning that I need to drop some nuggets for my people that are going through chemotherapy and having chemo problems right now. I need to drop some nuggets for y'all. And for those of you who know someone that's going through cancer treatment, no matter what type of cancer it is, if they're going through chemotherapy, they're going to need these nuggets. So I'm going to drop those nuggets too, because I realized that there were a lot of things that I had to find out through trial and error and on my own while I was struggling through chemotherapy that I need to share. Now, granted, I am almost done with the book that I've been writing for a long time, and it's been really hard for me to write it because it's emotional, and sometimes when I'm documenting that and writing about it, it's almost like reliving it. So it's been a long time in the making, but I'm going to share some of the nuggets that I'll be talking about, you know, in that book. But these nuggets are really, really, they were helpful to me, and I know that they'll be helpful for anybody dealing with chemo problems. And when I say chemo problems, I'm talking about maintaining your weight, not losing any weight, not being able to eat, and how you know, get around all that. So that's what I'm going to talk about once I pull up at the beach. I'm almost there, so I appreciate you guys tuning in with me. I can't see what you're saying to me. Obviously, I'm on the highway, and I don't know what you guys are saying. I was jamming out to Umbrella on repeat by Rihanna. That particular song hit me this morning as well, because it's, you know, it's about people being ride or die, being with you no matter what, and you sharing their umbrella when the rain comes. You know what I'm saying? Like when the rain is pouring, it's like, yo, I got your back. You can, you know, get under my umbrella with me. You know what I mean? So there are some people who have extended their umbrellas to me when it was raining cats and dogs, literally. And there are people that I've extended my umbrella to, and that song has a lot of meaning for me, because when I had to cut my hair, well, I'm not going to say I had to cut it, but after my first chemotherapy, like 2 days later, me and my best friends went and got haircuts. They cut their hair, and I cut my hair really short, because I thought that would be less of a traumatic experience. What I didn't know is that if I had to do it over, I would have just straight shaved my head completely bald. Because what I didn't know was that once my hair started falling out, it was extremely traumatic. And what happened was, 14 days after my first chemotherapy, my head felt tingly, and my eyelids started swelling up. And I didn't know what was happening, because obviously I had never been through anything like this, and none of my friends had been through it, so nobody knew what the hell was going on. But it was like, basically what was happening was like the hair follicles were like dying, but I didn't know this. So I touched my head, and my hair just came out. It was just like flowing in the air like feathers or something. And laying on the pillow, there was hair. With the window down and hair and the air blowing, my hair was blowing. And so I started having like these little patches of hair. You know what I mean? It was crazy. And so at the time, my husband was at work, and I was at home losing it, like looking at this like, oh my God. And every time I touched it, more hair was coming out, and I didn't know what to do. So I went to this barber shop, and I was like, I'm having cancer treatment and my hair is falling out. Can you just cut it? And they were just looking at me kind of crazy, and they tried to do something, but it didn't work. So when my husband got home from work, you know, I was really upset. I probably was crying. I don't really remember. But I called Shonda on the iPad. Shonda's my best friend. And my husband pulled out his clippers, and he shaved my head. completely bald. And that was traumatic for me. What I didn't think about was how traumatic that was for him. But it was a really, really difficult moment. So when I was talking about the chemo problem things and dropping nuggets, one of those things is that it was, if I had to do it over, I would have just shaved my head completely and saved myself the trauma of watching it fall out. So if you or someone you know will have to have chemotherapy, and it's the kind of chemotherapy that's going to make their hair fall out, let them know that maybe they want to just go ahead and shave it all off, because it's really hard to watch it come out of your head. It's really hard when you're just chilling and you go like this, and next thing you know, you have a clump of hair in your hand. That is so traumatic. It really fucked me up. Like I can still feel those emotions, you know what I'm saying? So it's still kind of like a trigger for me. It was really, really difficult. So I always, you know, a lot of times people, when they find out one of their loved ones has cancer or breast cancer or anything, or has to go to chemotherapy, they always call me to ask me, you know, what to do, or any tips or anything like that. So that's one of the nuggets. If you are told, like, people were telling me, oh, you know, everybody's hair doesn't fall out with chemo, yours might not fall out. My doctor told me with the type of chemotherapy cocktail that I had, my hair was definitely gonna fall out. But I still had people around me saying, oh, that might not happen. And at that time, what I didn't know is that there are different types of chemotherapy. All chemotherapy is not the same. So there are some types of chemotherapies where your hair doesn't fall out. But the type that I had, it was most definitely that the hair was coming out. So, you know, when you have all these people in your ear, different people become doctors all of a sudden, and they're Googling and doing their research like they're doctors, and they know what's going to happen, and they don't know shit. So, that's just real. That's real. People mean well, but they don't know. So, in my case, my doctor told me that, and I just thought that I would be able to handle short haircut and it'd be all good and it just falling out. But no, it was super traumatic. It messed me up. I was crying, I was hurt, and it was devastating. So if I can impart any type of wisdom or any type of help to somebody who is facing that, I would say don't put yourself through that, because you don't know how you're going to react in the moment. Like, people are like, yeah, I'm strong, I can handle it, whatever. But until you in that situation and your shit start falling out and you used to having a head full of hair, you don't know how you're going to react. It's not a good situation. And it takes some getting accustomed to. Like, there were times where I looked in the mirror because I forgot that my hair was gone. And I would look in the mirror and be like, who the fuck is that? Like, it would scare me. Like, literally scare me. I look at pictures from back in that time, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that, it's still, you know, hits me sometimes. So I just wanted to drop that nugget. And then I also want to talk about, damn, I forgot to bring it. It's not in my purse, but I wanted to talk about soursop. Soursop is a fruit. And I became my own Google doctor. I was doing my own research. And so I found out that soursop was really, really good. I'm not going to say that it cures or mitigates or anything, but it certainly helps. I bought cans of soursop. I don't know why I couldn't find it in the store. I couldn't find the actual fruit in the stores. Maybe they just don't sell that here, or maybe I just wasn't going to the right stores. I don't know. But back then, it may be available now, but back then I couldn't find the actual soursop fruit. So what I did was I bought cans of it. It was in a drink form, and I had a can of soursop juice every single day. Initially, what I did was I was juicing vegetables and fruits, I would pour the soursop in the juicing as the liquid base. And that was really helpful. So if you're not familiar with soursop and you are going through cancer treatment, I suggest that you Google soursop so that you understand why that was part of my routine. Soursop is S-O-U-R-S-O-P, soursop. I don't know the other name for it, but that's the name that I'm accustomed to, soursop. So I still drink soursop now. A lot of times I'll have it in my lunch bag for work. I always have a can of it in my refrigerator. It doesn't taste bad. It's not particularly good, but it's not bad either. But it was part of my everyday routine. And like I said, I put it in my juicing. I also had, back then in California, marijuana was not like completely all the way like legal, like you could just, get it anywhere. I had a medical recommendation or medical marijuana card after I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I also put marijuana in my juicing. And the reason why I did that, there's a couple of reasons why I did that, but one of the main reasons why I did it was because in my research, what I learned was that a lot of times people would have to stop their chemotherapy treatment because they weren't strong enough. I'm almost at the beach, y'all. They weren't strong enough to continue it. They would have to stop because they weren't eating enough. They weren't getting enough nutrients. Their body wasn't strong enough to be able to continue, and their blood cell counts would go down, and they would have to literally stop their chemotherapy treatment, sometimes be hospitalized because they were so, weak or so messed up. So I'm a goal-oriented kind of girl, so I set goals before my chemotherapy even started. Once I found out I was going to have chemo, I set some goals. And I achieved those goals too, y'all. One of my goals was to not have to delay or stop chemotherapy, to be able to continue through, not be hospitalized at all, and to get through it. So part of my strategy for that was the medicinal marijuana. And what I did was I had it, gosh, why is the beach so crowded right now? I guess because it's a beautiful day in Southern California. So yeah, it would be crowded. These people are out here like, it's a summer day. Anyway, so I would put the marijuana in the juice, or with the vegetables and the fruit and the soursop, and blend it all together. What that did for me was, one, it relaxed me because I was on edge. When I say on edge, from the time that they diagnosed me with breast cancer, even until well after, I was on edge and on so many different medications to calm my nerves and all of that. I couldn't sleep. I would wake up every hour on the hour, so that I was on Ambien. But anyway, so I put the medical marijuana in my juicing to relax me, but also to keep my appetite stimulated. It would, beyond, I would have the munchies, basically. For those of you guys who are familiar with the effects of marijuana, I would have the munchies. It would make me eat even when I didn't want to eat. But I knew I had to eat no matter what it tasted like, no matter if I was nauseous, no matter what. I knew from my research that I had to find a way to eat. There is nowhere for me to park, y'all. This is crazy. Why are these people at the beach? Don't they have a job? Isn't it in the middle of the week, y'all? What day is it? Why are these people out here? Like, there is literally nowhere to park. But anyway, so I would have the medical marijuana in the juicing to stimulate my appetite so that I could eat, as well as to relax me because I was on edge. And I didn't want to smoke the marijuana. I tried it back in my early 20s. I was a weed head. I always smoked weed back in the day. But I had an experience that's a whole nother life that made me stop. So when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I didn't really want to smoke the marijuana. So I would consume the marijuana, and I would also put it on my topically. And the way that I did that then was I had a bottle of alcohol. I think it was like 70% or 90% isopropyl alcohol, and I put the marijuana in the alcohol, and after my showers I would put it all over my body, because that would help to relax me as well. So we getting into the nuggets of what I did, what my personal protocol that I created for myself was. And so I was consuming the marijuana in my juicing. I was putting it on my body topically, and I was also drinking it with my tea. But my tea wasn't just the marijuana tea. I was also drinking Ganoderma tea. Ganoderma is Ganoderma. I was drinking Ganoderma tea. If you don't know what Ganoderma is and what it does, I suggest that you Google it right now, or when we get done. Write it down. Take notes. Write it down. Ganoderma tea is what I was also drinking every single day, mixed with the marijuana. The Ganoderma helped with a whole lot of shit, and I still take Ganoderma every single day. The coffee that I drink has Ganoderma in it. To understand why, you need to Google Ganoderma. I'm not going to say why. I'm just telling you what I did, and I'm telling you that I'm healthy and strong right now. And in a matter of days, I'll be 6 years cancer free. So again, I drank marijuana tea combined with Ganoderma. That was my tea that I drank every single day. Sometimes I drank it more than once a day. A lot of times it might be like, I think I may have drank it like 3 times a day, like almost like breakfast, lunch, and dinner kind of thing. So if you or someone you know chemo problems, I strongly recommend that you get them some marijuana, have them drink it, and mix it with some Ganoderma. So if you need the marijuana, I know somebody who has a wonderful cannabis line. Actually, I know 2 people with cannabis lines, and I can connect you. Or if you need a recommendation on a good dispensary to go to, I got you there too. 2 of my friends have that, so they can definitely point you in the right direction, tell you what type of marijuana that you should take, or that your loved one, whoever it is that has chemo problems, they can help you with that. And I will have, I'll give you some links and some referrals and stuff like that. If you need that, you can DM me. And because the thing is, you want to make sure that if you're going to have the marijuana, you need to make sure it's the good shit. You know what I'm saying? So if that's going to be part of your protocol and part of your treatment, you want it to be the good, high quality stuff. So that's also important. So in addition to that, as I said, this is what I did so that I could continue to eat to be strong. So I got to a point, I don't know if it was around the 3rd chemo or the 4th chemo, but I got to a point where I couldn't eat. It was just really hard. And even though I was forcing myself and doing the best that I could, a lot of times I was throwing up. So I didn't know this at that time. But now I know, so I can give you this nugget. What you need, or your loved one, whoever it is, if it's you or someone that you know that's having chemo problems and are at that point where they are nauseous and not able to really keep anything down very well, despite doing the marijuana and all of that, then what you need to get them is Chewy. That's this. Chewy. So when you cannot eat, when you can't keep anything down, especially if you're going through chemo, you need some Chewy. And the reason why is what I was telling you guys earlier, is that your body needs to be able to continue to fight. You need to be able to fight, and in order to be able to fight, you need to be able to eat so that you have the nutrients and the energy and everything that you need in order to fight. I told y'all, one of my goals going into chemotherapy was, I'm not delaying no chemos, I'm not stopping no chemos, I'm going straight through. That was my game plan, go straight through. So if that's the game plan that you want, or whoever your loved one is on, and they want to be able to get through non-stop, keep their cell counts up and all of that shit, they gotta be able to consume some food. Now this Chewy is just a little capsule, but it's like equivalent to eating like a 32-ounce steak with protein. You know what I'm saying? So if they can't eat, they need to take 3 capsules a day. Like, this is their breakfast, their lunch, and their dinner. Have them take this so that their body is still able to fight and continue. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing. Like, people talk about fight like a girl, fight like a girl. Fuck that. It ain't fight like a girl. You fighting like a grown-ass woman. When you fighting for your life, you can't fight like a girl, because you're going to get your ass kicked. So I'm dropping these nuggets right now because I know that there are people that are going through chemo right now and having chemo problems, and they don't know what to do. And I know this because I have 2 people who just finished their last chemos, and while they were going through chemo, I was giving them these nuggets and sharing this with them, and it was working for them. So I'm sharing it with you because if you're going through it, or somebody that you know is going through it, you need this information. You need this information. And the doctor is not going to tell you this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because doctors are not... Okay, here's the thing about med school. I ain't never been to med school, but this is what I know from research and talking with doctors. They're not taught about like nutrition and supplements and shit like that. They're taught about pharmaceutical drugs. They're not taught about they're not all well-rounded in terms of all different types of medicines, which is part of the reason why I chose to have my treatment at UCLA. UCLA is a teaching hospital, and they are on the cutting edge of everything. They don't just focus on Western medicine. They even have like a Eastern medicine department. So they're integrative. Integrative means that you do traditional medicine as well as non-traditional. And non-traditional is stuff like acupuncture and different nutritional herbs and dealing with mind, body, and spirit. That's integrative. And that's the approach that I took. So for those of you at doctors or dealing with situations that are not integrative, and you want to add integrative, which is what I'm sharing with you, is an integrative approach that worked for me. These are the things that you want to do or have your loved one do. You need to have a game plan for when you cannot eat, because there will most likely come a day, if you're on chemo, that your new chemo problem will be that you can't eat and that you can't keep anything down other than water and some Chewy. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that your loved one or that you have Chewy on deck. Period. You need to have it on deck. And here's the thing. I'm not going through chemo no more. You know what I'm saying? I'll be 6 years cancer free in a couple days, but I still take Chewy because I'm a flight attendant. And as a flight attendant, my issue is sometimes I may not have any more food left in my bag, number one. Or in the airport, you know, with this COVID shit, stuff is closed. There's nowhere to get anything, or the options are limited. Like, it might just be like a McDonald's or something. You know what I'm saying? Or when I go to my hotel, like when I go to Hawaii today, I don't know what's going to be open. I don't know what's going to be available for me to eat. But guess what? If it ain't shit available for me to eat and I run out of food in my bag, I got my Chewy. And this Chewy can serve as a meal supplement. This can replace a meal. And for people who are like really thin and they want to gain weight, you take it with a meal. So those of y'all who's working on y'all booty and stuff and trying to, you know, gain weight and your muscle mass and all of that shit, if you trying to gain weight, to Chewy. It will help you gain weight. You take it with a meal if you're trying to gain weight. If you're trying to maintain your weight, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to maintain. I don't want to necessarily lose weight. I just want to tone up, tighten up, keep it tight and right and firm. So I'll take a Chewy as a meal replacement, or as a supplement, you know, in between. But that right there is one of the problem solvers for people having chemo problems. Now, I also want to talk about this other very serious chemo problem that most people don't want to talk about. Most people do not. I haven't seen too many people talk about this, but I'm going to be transparent. A lot of times with chemotherapy, you're constipated. You're taking, in addition to the chemotherapy, you're taking medicines to prepare your body for the chemotherapy, and then you're taking some other type of medicines after the chemotherapy. Then you got to take a shot called Neulasta after the chemotherapy, and no matter how much water you drink, you might find yourself constipated. And for me, constipation was a major issue. And then people would keep telling me, drink water. And that used to make me so mad. I used to get livid when people would tell me to drink more water, because this is the reason why I would get mad. It's because chemotherapy threw me into menopause. So I was constantly having these hardcore hot flashes. So all I was doing was drinking water. Anything else that I tried to drink didn't taste right. So I was drinking so much water, I was peeing water. It did look like water, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear I'm not drinking enough water and that's why I'm constipated. No, that's not it. It's from the chemo and all of the pills and medicines and stuff they got you taking. It makes you constipated. That's what happens. And it's not a regular constipation. It feels like you're shitting rocks, like little rocks. That's what it felt like. It was painful. It was just not a good thing. It was to the point, and I've never said this publicly, it was to the point where me and Shonda and my husband would celebrate when I would have a bowel movement. It was called, what did we used to call it? Like hit records. Like, it was an inside joke. And whenever I would have a bowel movement, it was like a celebration. And I would literally like call Shonda or tell him like I had a bowel movement. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it was difficult. And that's some shit that people don't talk about with chemo. That's a chemo problem. So for anyone who's going through chemotherapy, or anyone who has a loved one going through chemotherapy and they're dealing with constipation, you need to get them some tea. And I suggest the tea with the CBD because it's also calming and helps them, you know, calm down a little bit. But just one of these with a bottle of water. You need tea. And that tea will take care of that constipation. So, again, these are nuggets that I'm sharing with you that can help with chemo problems. Now, I'm not saying this is going to cure or mitigate any kind of disease. I'm talking about people that are experiencing chemo problems. If you're going through chemotherapy, there are usually some chemo problems. I know of, I think, one person who didn't have any problems going through chemotherapy. She went through that shit like a champ. The only thing that happened to her was she lost her hair. Everything, her nails didn't turn black. Like, she didn't have constipation. She didn't have no problems. I ain't never ever heard of nobody else doing that. We was calling her Superwoman in our cancer support group. She's the only person that I know of that didn't have any issues. Everyone else that I know of has some issues. And for me, going through it, every issue known to happen happened to me. The only thing that didn't happen is my fingernails didn't fall off. I have friends who their fingernails fell off. Mine turned black, and it took over a year for them to get back to normal. So sometimes when I look at my fingers, you know, it took me a long time before I got my nails done because I was so fascinated with the fact that my fingernails look regular. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so for people having chemo problems, I'm going to be dropping nuggets, and I'm going to keep reiterating it, because a lot of the people that follow me on Instagram are people who have overcome cancer or are going through cancer or know someone that's going through cancer. And I have a responsibility and a duty to share the information that I have and the knowledge that I have from personal experience. This is not some, I heard. No, this is some, I've been there, done it, and it works for me. So maybe it'll work for them too. So if you know somebody that's having some chemo problems, they're having trouble eating, again, make sure that you get them some Tachui, or tell them to call me, give them my phone number, tell them to inbox me. They got questions, they need answers on something, whatever their issues are, hit me up and I will share whatever I know of that can possibly help them cope with that problem. There are ways to cope with the chemo problems that come up. So these are some of the ways in which I coped. I know that in some states marijuana is not legal yet, which is so stupid. I don't understand that. And then I also know that there are some people who are totally against marijuana. And to those people, I want to say this, because while I was going through breast cancer, there were other people that I was around that was going through breast cancer too, and they were against medical marijuana. Here's what I want to say to y'all. Marijuana is a natural plant. Cannabis is a natural plant that grows from the earth with no chemicals, additives, or preservatives. It's straight up out the dirt. It grows naturally. It was placed here. That shit that you get when you go to CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, or whatever other drugstore you go to, that shit didn't grow. That shit that you get in the little orange bottle with the white top on it, that shit was made in a laboratory. That shit's not natural. So you mean to tell me you'd rather take some unnatural shit over something natural? That doesn't make sense to me. And granted, yes, I did chemotherapy, and chemotherapy is not natural. It kills every cell in the body, the good and the bad, gradually. Like you're literally dying each day. However, based on my research, I knew that I had a better fighting chance by combining conventional medicine with natural alternatives. So I did an integrative approach for the best fighting chance to live. And I fought like a grown-ass woman. And those are the kind of tips that I share. I share tips to help people fight like a grown-ass woman. I don't do fight like a girl. I'm not down with that fight like a girl shit, because fighting cancer is a serious fight. It's not child's play. You got to put on your big girl panties. You got to put on your grown-ass woman drawers. You know what I'm saying? Like your big grandma drawers. Like you need a whole lot when you fighting. And you need a whole lot to help you cope through the problems that come up. Some of them are embarrassing and people don't want to talk about them. And I'm going to talk about that. Like the constipation thing and not being able to take a shit. That's hardcore. And if you have a mastectomy, like I had a double mastectomy, on top of the mastectomy, for me, it was reconstruction surgery. And that doesn't happen in one surgery. I have multiple surgeries. So every time I went under the knife, that involved painkillers and pain medications, all of which makes you constipated. Like for real. Like it's a constipation that I have never experienced before in my life. And I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Like after my mastectomy, I was on, I don't know what I was on, like Vicodin, hydrocodone. I don't know. I was on a lot of shit. I was in the hospital for I don't know how many days. But when I came home, I was taking these medicines and I felt like I had to shit, but I couldn't go. And so I couldn't even move. I was just like in agony. And I had never given myself like an enema before. I know this is very graphic, but I gotta say it. I had never given myself an enema or never experienced one before, but I knew I was gonna have to try to do it. And I tried it and it didn't work. I still couldn't go. It was horrible. It was the worst experience ever. So don't let your loved ones go through that, and don't you go through that. If you having some kind of surgery or something, you need a little extra. I ain't talking about prune juice. Get you something that's going to keep you straight. So those are my nuggets for today. I am at the beach. I got to go out here. Can y'all see it? I'm trying to turn it around so y'all can see where I'm at. I got to go out here. I got to go ground. This was my happy place. This is where I spent my days before chemotherapy. This is where I hung out. And so, in my thankful, grateful state that I'm in right now, I got to be out here and give up some thanks and some praise, because I'm not out here in my old car. I'm out here in my new car. All of my dreams, all of my goals are becoming a reality. I'm putting in the work. I'm dealing with my baggage. I'm dealing with my issues. I'm growing and glowing every single day. I'm stronger every day in every way. I'm healthy. I'm getting wiser. And I'm working on my wealth. So, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and lock my car up, walk out here to the sand, and thank you guys for hanging with me, sticking with me, and hearing what I had to say. If you or somebody that you know is going through chemo problems, experiencing chemo problems, share this with them. Share this with them. Don't keep it a secret. The link is in my bio. Any of the items that I talked about, if you got questions, hit me up. You can call me, you can message me, you can DM me. But right now, that's calling me. Y'all have a good day.